Sure. Well, why don't we start with this? I'll remind everyone, if you have a question, just hit the raise your hand function on Zoom here. But Kim, if you could just start us off, your thoughts on this matchup with Portland, and I guess walk us through how you feel like the team has been doing this week in training.
Yeah, if I start with the game in LA a little bit, it was a tough game for us, but we think that we started that game really well. But we had a lot of issues the game day, but also 1-2 days before that. I think in total we had like 7 different things that we had in our mind. It was everything from Wang that couldn't come to US. We had some injuries with Canoe. We had national team players that were away. Ari, Ellie, for example, Alex Shidiak, and small injuries with Satara and Jula Lester that wasn't maybe fit enough for too many minutes. But it looks much better right now. We had a great training yesterday. Good energy, so I'm really looking forward to a tough game against Portland, but I'm sure that we're going to do a good performance again.
Michael, go ahead. Michael, you're still on mute there.
Sorry. Any update on player availability, specifically Wong getting back, and then maybe Kanu and Lester and Murray? Will they be, available for selection?
Wang is back. She came back Wednesday. Kanu is a little bit 50-50. She will not be in the starting 11, but probably on the bench. All of the other players are back. Like I said, good energy. So it feels good.
So Borges back as well. Sorry, that was the other one.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So going back to the match in Angel City, I'm sure you've watched the game film by now. What could you learn from the second half of that match that will prepare you kind of next time you have a lead after going back and reviewing that?
I think it's a mix of different kind of things. One thing is that we had a lot of injuries and players that just came back from the national team, so we couldn't do that much from the bench, I will say, when it comes to subs in at least some of the positions that we normally can do. But we have talked about to do the low defense a little bit better. We did some easy mistakes, I think, when they scored both of their goals. So we have a look at their situations. We have practiced a little bit with the low block, but the most important for us that we are not the team that wants to sit in a low block. So we want to control the second half a little bit more. We had panic. We were just kicking along for too long time. I will say you can do it maybe for 10-15 minutes, but you can't do it for 45. So we need to take care of the ball, to keep the ball in the team, even if we're under pressure, to try to stay in the game a little bit longer. So I think that had been the most important, but do the details better in the defense as well.
Kim, something that stuck out to me that I wanted to ask you about is Kirsten's goal and how it was created, and then obviously a fantastic finish. But is that kind of quick way that goal kind of was created with the press and quick pass, quick finish? Is that, I guess, the ideal situation for you of how racing gets some of its goals?
Yeah, absolutely, and that had been very clear from the club. I would say the club wants to be a high pressing team, so that's my job to do that. So it doesn't matter so much if I'm the coach or not. They Racing want to be a high pressing team, and in that situation we had a really good high press again. We won the ball high, great tackle from Howell, DeMello on the ball, and a great finish from Davis. So yeah, great goal.
Michael, go ahead.
So speaking of pressing, how do you handle it when you're a pressing team and you get pressed back like Angel City seemed to do in the second half against you? How do you react against that as a pressing team? How do you kind of fight fire with fire?
Yeah, I understand your question. It's so many like friends and like my wife, when I talked to her, like he said, yeah, you should press high in the second as well. Yeah, but the problem if they never have a low build up, you can't press them high if they never have the ball in the low build up, because they pressed us the whole time and we was just kicking away the ball, like, so they always have the middle or high build up, if you understand what I mean. So it's like, I think we need to take care of the ball a little bit more in the second half, so we can have longer attack, we can have more corners, and if we miss the goal, it's going to be a goal kick. We can take up the team a little bit and press them. So I think that's the key for us, if it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do you create those situations where, like you said, you can pin them in to their own kind of defensive half? Because it seemed like you spent just large amounts of times in your own defensive third in that match. Is there any strategy to say, do we just need to hit long balls, or do we need to play through and just hold possession in midfield a little bit more in those situations? What are some of the things you think that you can do to kind of force the issue and really start, once the tide is pushed the other team forward so much, how do you push that back the other way?
Yeah, it's nothing is black and white. I think we have a really talented midfield, for example, but it's a young midfield. The player is like 23, 24 years old. Ari Borges is for example, new in the league, really, really good. Olympic Games, he played as 6, new in the league, the same thing there, 23 years old. Howell came back. It helps, of course, but also a young player, DeMello, similar there. So they still learn from some of the situations, but they are also really good players. So they need to believe in themselves. So we have talked about to try to find 1-2 shorter passes and then play it out, for example, out to the outside back or play out from the pressure. So to find that balance, to trust your teammates, to believe in yourself, to play a couple of shorter passes, even if we're under pressure. If we lose the ball, we lose the ball, but we can't just kick it away for 45 minutes. So do that part a little bit better, but also when it's a situation when we have to kick it away, maybe not do it in the middle of the pitch, to kick it out the wide and maybe give away a throw in. It gives us maybe another 50 seconds to have the team on our right side. Instead, they just kick it up to their 6th or center defender, and then the next attack and next attack. So kill their momentum a little bit better. So something we talked about, something we had in the training yesterday, but also we talked about the defense, like I said, in the Tuesday training.
Okay. And then last one for me, you mentioned like all the things that could go wrong, did go wrong prior to the Angel City match. If you had full complement of players that you thought you were going to have available, would you have maybe substituted a little bit differently in the second half?
Yeah, I think so. We said that the staff before this game that we said that we can't do too many subs too early, because then we may be going to burn ourselves to sit there, and in the end we maybe can't help them at all because of that if we do that too early. Like with Ari Borges, we said we knew that she maybe can help us 15 minutes, but the best scenario was not to use her at all, to be honest. And similar with many of other players, like we said with LPGMC, we felt that she probably can play 60 minutes, but she was tired already after 45. But yeah, we couldn't do that much. But I will say that if we had a full squad, I will probably normally do some subs a little bit earlier. Yes.
All right. Thanks, Kim.
Any other questions for Kim? All right, Kim, you are off the hot seat. Thank you so much. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you.